Hello everybody and welcome. My name is WeakAuras and today we're going to be doing another guide for the Elemental Shaman for patch 7.2.5. In this guide we're going to be covering a more up-to-date version of the Addons, Macros, and WeakAuras guide that I put out in November of last year. If you guys want to follow me on my live stream at twitch.tv, you can, as well as follow me on my Twitter and Instagram social medias. I'll be putting the links in all those in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get right into the video guide. Alright, let's go over the add-on section of the video. The add-on section of the video is actually going to be pretty big, so if you want to skip ahead to any other part, you can using the annotations listed up above. The first add-on that we're going to be covering is actually Elvui. Elvui is a full UI replacement. It completely replaces the default Blizzard UI at every single level, namely your action bars, your mini-map in the top right corner, your chat boxes, your health and unit frames. Everything about your UI is replaced with a more cleaner, flexible and practical user interface, I find. So the way that you're going to access the configuration panel is simply typing /EC in your chat box. This window will pop up and it'll allow you to customize the entirety of the add-on. These are called anchors. These are what change the positions of everything in your UI. You can put your chat box up here, your minimaps down here, whatever you want. Your UI is your UI. You can change whatever you want with your action bars and your nameplates, your party frames, your raid frames, the boss frames, everything to do with your UI. You can move it around and put it wherever you want. I'm going to show you guys how to customize your actual action bars. So down here, this is the action bar section. The boss button, that is the big square button that just pops up in the middle of your screen on the normal UI default. So I put that actually down here to press it. The boss button can be whatever size you want. If you want to see things that normally don't appear, you're going to actually have to toggle the anchors afterwards in order to see them, how big they are and whatever. The macro bar is what our little bar is that shows our character face and then our spell book and our talents, our achievements, quest log, guild, looking for groups, stuff like. So that's the macro or the micro bar. So again, you can show how many buttons per row you want. See mine popping up over here, 1 button per row, all the way down to all the 11 ones. The alpha setting is pretty much the opaque, how opaque you want the actual bar itself. Let's go down to bar 1. Bar 1 is where your actual numbers are. So this is my first one down here. You can see how many buttons I want on the row, the actual button size. It's completely customizable. You can make it whatever you want. It's pretty awesome. Button 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 6. Your pet bar is, well, if you have a pet, you're going to have a pet bar. So that's whatever you want it to be. If I summon my fire elemental, actually we're going to go over to primal elementalist real quick. If I summon my fire elemental, my pet bar is going to pop up. So I can make that whatever size, anything that I want it to be. Right? So with that, I'm in combat. With that, I can make it whatever buttons I want on the row, exactly what we did with the other bars. Button size, stuff like that. So everything about the auction bars is completely customizable, and that's what I like. Nameplates, I don't have activated actually because I'm using tidy plates. You can see here. I like them a little bit more, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Data text and data bars. Data bars are like your actual reputation, honor, artifact, and experience. Those are your data bars. So you have those up here, right? Data text, what comes up in your panels. So you can have your currencies on one side. You can have it displaying gold. Your panels. So the left chat, I have displaying mastery, haste, and crit chance. This is kind of like what the stats I want to track most at all times. And then my right chat having the system settings. So I have like FPS and how my MS is. And then the middle is the time. And then I have gold over here on the right to track how much gold I have. So after that, we have maps. Mini map, we can enable it, disable it, but it requires a complete UI change or like reload. So you can do that whatever you want. Make the size of it really big and stuff. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is actually profiles. So this is a thing that is probably the most useful feature that I find with the actual Elvui. add-on. It allows you to take your profile, so see I have this profile, and give it to someone else. And then they can import it into the add-on, and they'll have your profile. So if you guys want my profile, you can have it. I'll put a paste bin in the description down below. So I'll show you guys how to export your profile. So you go to the export profile button, and then you press export now. It's going to give you this giant text string where you can copy it, put it in a paste bin, and then send it off to someone else. And then this is where you import it. You would just copy and then paste it in there, and then press the import now button. This is my profile, so it's obviously not going to change. Like, it's going to go to the same thing. Nothing's going to happen. But I just wanted to show you guys exactly how to do that. If you guys want my profile, you can. Like I said, description down below. Let's move on to the next add-on. Alright, another add-on that I want to talk about is Deadly Boss Mods or Bigwigs. So Deadly Boss Mods and or Bigwigs is an add-on that allows you to just have an abundance of information at your disposal regarding raids, dungeons, world events, world bosses, like everything that has to do with PvE. So Deadly Boss Mods and Bigwigs is kind of like a cooldown and informational tracker for bosses and content within the World of Warcraft universe. I recommend using either these two add-ons, DBM or Bigwigs, because it allows you to track the cooldowns on select abilities for these boss encounters, as well as alerts you when certain abilities happen, when you should be doing certain mechanics and stuff like that. This is pretty much a must kind of add-on to be in a raiding guild, whether you're doing normal, heroic, or mythic content. I highly suggest to get one of these add-ons and use it. The next add-on that we're going to be talking about is mic scrolling battle text. So this is an add-on that I use that just displays my damage in a nice and neat fashion. I have this set up in a manner where it just kind of shows you half the screen, not even half the screen, a small portion of the middle of the screen off to the left. And you can easily customize this in the way of where scrolling areas are. So incoming and outgoing. Incoming is what is coming onto your character, whether it's damage, healing, absorbs, stuff like that. And then outgoing is whatever your character is doing. I have it set up to where outgoing is off to the side. It scrolls up. Behavior curved to the left a little bit. Parabola is like the design of which the animation style I have, and then I have it static for the sticky style, and obviously the direction is up. Behavior is normal, and the text align is left, and the text align is left again for this. So I have it also set up to like scroll height. You can customize scroll width, how you kind of want it to scroll. It's just going to be it's a lot of customizable options that you can put for just the damage meters or like the scrolling text alone. So the way I actually have this set up, my triggers, for my class, I kind of don't want any big pop-ups up here. So my cooldowns and stuff, I don't really have that on. My skill icons, I have it enabled, obviously. For the events, I kind of just incoming player, I just put it all off. Incoming pet, I turned it all off. Outgoing player is the only thing that I have on, whether it's melee hits, stuff like that, spells, outgoing pet, and notifications. This is a big one that I like to turn off because it's just a bunch of stuff that just spams the middle of your screen. I don't really like this, so I turn it all off. And I just want the scrolling text to appear on my screen off to the left, as you can see. Another add-on that you guys are probably noticing is my Trophy GCD add-on. This is pretty much just an add-on that displays whatever spells I'm casting, or we can go into the interface and look at that again. So Trophy GCD, I only have player enabled, and then I kind of turn off everyone else. I usually use this just, you can move it around to wherever you want to put it. I just have it right above my character unit frame. I use this just to show people on stream and like in my videos and stuff what I'm casting in its order and what's damaging the target when it happens. So like Flame Shock happened, and then I'm casting, it went through, and then I'm casting Lightning Bolt, and it's going through. So it just shows what is being casted, what is damaging the target, and yada yada. If I cancel a spell cast, it'll show a like little red X on it. Again, you'll see that. So it's a pretty cool add-on just to like show people what you're doing and when. The next add-on that I want to talk about is my damage meter. So I use SCADA, or sorry, not SCADA. I use Details damage meter. It's actually a really good one. I definitely recommend it. It's highly customizable as well to its displays. The update interval, you can have it at 3 seconds, so it updates every 3 seconds, or 0.05. I like 0.05 seconds because it just gives you the most accurate, pretty much damage meters out there. So wheel speed, 2 seconds, that's all I have it at. My skins and stuff. You can customize this to whatever you want. Again, you can have your own profiles on it too. So I have this right here. Just I use the same profile for all my characters. So I like it though because you can add different bookmarks into it, whether it's dispels, damage done, healing done, deaths, and you can just quickly go through those if you need to quickly change over whatever you need. You can easily add a new bookmark over healing taken, stuff like that, just like damage taken, frags, friendly fire. You can track a lot of stuff with this, and I think it's just a lot more easy to navigate than either Recount or SCADA, and the update interval is very nice as well. Let's talk about another one. GTFO, or Get the F Out, is another add-on that I use, and I only use it for one specific thing. And that is the friendly fire sounds. So I turn everything else off, and I only pay attention to the sound. That sound that comes out of it. It's just when I'm standing too close to another player in my raid, and then I can easily just hear that sound, okay, and then I check my screen and like, okay, I'm standing near this person. I'm actually doing a lot of damage to this person. I should move away from him. So that's the only real reason why I use GTFO. Now anyways. The next one is Pawn. So Pawn is a pretty useful add-on, and a lot of people will argue with me when I say this, but I use it in a specific way, and I think a lot of other people use it in this way as well. I use it to keep track of my stat weights, and then tell me when I actually have upgrades in my bags. So the way that this works, the way that I use it, is I use this with another add-on called SimCraft. SimCraft is an add-on that you can install in-game, and if you type in /simc, so SIMC, this will pop up, and it is an export that you can put into either Simulation Craft, the actual desktop application, or you can go onto raidbots.com, I actually have it over here, and then import this into the actual website or the Simulation Craft application, and it'll give you a real-time profile on your character. Even if you talent switch and stuff, you can talent switch and then redo /simc, and it'll update right away, and then you can resim again for different talents and different gear. It updates every time you change something, and then you type in /simc again. So the way I use this is every time I replace a piece of gear, I will do /simc, /simc, and then import that into either RaidBots or Simulation Craft. And then I will take my new stat weights and then put them into the import on Pawn. Press OK, it'll give me my new stat weights, and then I use those again. So I'm going off of Elemental Belt, which is what I use most of the time. The Legendary Belt and Legendary Ring. And these are my stat weights for that. So Crit, Haste, Mastery, Versatility, and then Intellect. Gives me all the stat weights, and then whenever I change a piece of gear, I do it again. So when I import these stat weights, it allows me to see what are upgrades in my bags, what are upgrades that I could potentially get in raids and drops from bosses. So you can see here, there's a bunch of information right over here where my mouse is. There's a bunch of information at the bottom of the tooltip on the item. There's Baraka Shaman Enhancement Shaman, that's on the Simbot. and then Elemental Belt. So that's the one that I look at. So the legendary boots are 29% upgrade to these boots, right? So that's what I look for. And then whenever I replace a piece of gear, I do it again, import my new stat weights, and wait for a next upgrade. Alright, so now we're going to get into the last add-on that I use, and that is WeakAuras. WeakAuras is a huge add-on, and I definitely recommend using it. It is a powerful and flexible framework that allows you to display highly customizable graphics on your screen to indicate buffs, debuffs, and a whole other host of similar information. So the way that I actually have my WeakAuras set up, and I'll show you guys here every single one of them. My WeakAuras track everything you need to know to track for the Elemental Shaman. We have your Maelstrom Bar, we have your totems here, whether or not you're in range and the totems are actually buffing you. We have your Flame Shock, if it's missing on the target, if it's active, how long it has on the target. Your buffs, so like whether or not Ascendance is up, how long I have left on Ascendance, and the cooldown on it, when it's going to come up. Elemental Mastery, same thing. And then we have these down here, which is your Stormkeeper buff, you have your Power of the Maelstrom buff, and then your Elemental Focus buff. So I track all these next to each other. They're pretty important. So we're going to go over exactly which ones are which, how they work, and I'm going to show you guys how you can get these as well. So my Ascendance ones work hand in hand. They're over top of each other. This is the one that tracks the cooldown on the Ascendance. So when I use Ascendance, this will pop up right here, showing me that I have the buff active and how many seconds I have left of the buff. And then this will show up whenever it's on cooldown and will track how long I have left until it comes off cooldown. This one right here is the Berserking Troll Racial. This will show up whenever I use it. If I play in a troll, I have this, right? It'll just show up on my screen, as well as the Bloodlust icon if I'm using Bloodlust. This one right here is the Elemental Blast icon. This shows up whenever I cast Elemental Blast and will pretty much give a countdown of when I have Elemental Blast available again, so when it comes off cooldown. This one right here, these two Elemental Mastery icons show up right here if I have the buff and if the buff is on cooldown. This one right here is the Wind Gust icon. So if I've used Wind Gust, it'll show up and show me how many seconds left I have on it until I can use it again. Ice Fury, same deal. When it comes up, I have that many seconds left until it comes off cooldown, and then this just indicates how many stacks of Ice Fury I have left until I have 0. This is right here is the Totem Mastery buffs. I have two here, one to indicate that I have it actually buffing my character, and one that I'm either out of range of it or it's just not down yet. This is the Windrush Totem CD, so it shows me whenever Windrush is on CD and when it's going to come back off CD. These two right here are pretty important to have. I recommend trying to get these. So we have Power of the Maelstrom, which tracks whether or not Power of the Maelstrom is buffing your character, how many stacks of it we have in the bottom right corner, and the duration of the buff that we have. Same thing goes for Stormkeeper. If we have Stormkeeper buff, it's going to show up how many stacks of it I have left, and then the duration of the actual buff left on your character. Same thing goes with the Elemental Focus one that we have here. How many stacks of it, the duration of the buff. So I have 4 WeakAuras tracking Flame Shock. One of them is the duration of it. One of them is if it has low duration, and then I need to replenish that Flame Shock very quickly. And then Flame Shock is missing off the target. So this will pop up if you're in combat with something and you just don't have Flame Shock on the target. This will pop up flashing saying, hey, Flame Shock's missing, put it on it. And then this one right here works with the actual Flame Shock buff itself. This will show up if I actually have Elemental Focus buffing the Flame Shock that's currently on the target. So it's very useful just to be able to track something like that. Works hand in hand with this one right here, so you can have both of these up at the same time. So it's not a big deal. But I definitely recommend trying to get these Flame Shock ones, and I'll give them to you soon. So the last one that I want to talk about here is our Maelstrom Bar. This is pretty much the bread and butter for the WeakAuras that we have here. The Maelstrom Bar tracks how much Maelstrom you have currently with a little number over here, numeric value, how much Maelstrom we're generating through a spell, and then how much Maelstrom we are going to actually have breakpoints with these little bars in here. We have one at 20, we have one at 50, and one at 80. So it just allows me to track, without looking at this number all the time, how much Maelstrom I have available. Another thing that happens when using this Maelstrom Bar is also, you can see here that it's tracking how much Maelstrom I'm gaining through a spell, and then it's going to light up when I'm getting close to my max Maelstrom. When this lights up, it pretty much just tells me, hey, I'm getting close to it. I need to Earthshock soon, so just pay attention a little bit more to that buff, or your Maelstrom Bar. So now that we've gone over all of the WeakAuras, I'm going to show you guys how you can get them. Type /WA in your chat. It's going to pop up the actual WeakAuras window that you have here. This is called a parent or group, and then these are all called child WeakAuras. So I can just minimize that and open it. It's just a grouping of WeakAuras that you can move freely together all at once. So the way that you can actually get this WeakAura or get other WeakAuras is by simply exporting to string. The text is going to pop up, kind of like how we did for the Elvui profiles. And then you can copy this, put it in a paste bin or something to send off to your friends, which I'm doing for you guys. If you guys want this WeakAura, it's down in the description below. You can get the paste bin there. And then you come into here under new, import, and then just import all that text into this box. And then this will pop up right here, this little window. And this works with all the WeakAuras, don't worry about it. Just not working with any other WeakAura. And then you just press the import button. You're going to then just have the WeakAuras. You have them in your WeakAuras folder. You have them on your screen when you're in combat and stuff. So you have them now. It's pretty easy setup, just very similar to the Elvui export and import for profiles. So I highly recommend getting this WeakAura setup and the add-on itself. It's going to allow you to track a lot more stuff, not just spell buffs and stuff, but also timers on boss spells and abilities, and a whole host of other options as well. So now that we've covered WeakAuras, we finally get into the last segment of the video, being our macros section. Some of these I actually recommend getting. There are extremely important ones in here, like the Maelstrom Macro. The Maelstrom Macro is a recent add to the Blizzard game itself, being the @cursor command. So the @cursor command came out in 7.1, so if you have been searching for this kind of command forever and it seems like you finally found it, it's just because it just came out. So not too long ago anyway. So these ones work with any spell that needs to be casted with the mouse. So if you need to, say, cast like a totem and then place it on the ground somewhere, you see this green circle. This macro eliminates that from happening. Having to actually cast that spell at the cursor, or like casting that spell with the green cursor and then clicking again. This spell allows you just to quickly place those spells on the ground with a single press of the key bind using this macro. So I have it set up with my Lightning Surge totem, with my Earthbind totem, with my Earth Grab totem if I'm spec'd into it for PvP and whatnot, and most importantly, my Earthquake. With my Earthquake spell, you actually find that it is a damage increase to just place it under the target without having to point and click. It is an instant cast now. You don't have to worry about it. Just keep in mind that it is going to go anywhere where your mouse is. You have to have the mouse over the target where you want to be casting the Earthquake. It's a damage increase because when you're actually in the position to point and click, if you're spamming your abilities, you actually interrupt the actual point and click spell itself. So if I'm over here and I have to point and click really quick, but I'm spamming my abilities and whatnot, the circle is just going to go away and you're not going to be, you wouldn't have casted that Earthquake. So it's very important to actually get this macro, and I'm going to be putting this one in the description. It's a simple macro. It's just an flash cast in square brackets @cursor. And it works with any spell. It works with Healing Rain if you're a Restoration Druid. It works with Efflorescence if you're a Restoration Druid. Sorry, Healing Rain Shaman. And then also stuff like Rain of Fire, Blizzard if you're a Mage, Rain of Fire if you're a Warlock. Any spell that requires you to point and click with the green circle, this macro will work with it. So I highly recommend getting it. Another macro is the Ascendance Macro. I use this macro, and I don't actually use Elemental Mastery. That was just for sake of the video. I use this macro in case I actually will spec into Elemental Mastery. There's no circumstance right now that I do, but it's in the macro. So when I use Ascendance, I want to be able to combine that with Gnawed Thumb Ring because they're both on the same cooldown, and this is a big cooldown that I like to use with this. So when I use Ascendance, you'll see that I actually get the Gnawed Thumb Ring buff at the same time, and I don't need to put this on another cooldown or another keybind. So it just allows me to press one button and then get all the buffs that I want to pair with that one button together, and simple. Another pair of macros that I'm going to be showing is the actual @focus target macros that I use for 3 of my spells. Sometimes I won't use these, but the majority of the time, if I'm going to be CCing a specific target or purging a specific target, I'm going to be using these. So the Hex Macro is a macro that whenever you cast Hex on a brand new target, if your focus target does not exist, it will make that target your focus target, and every time afterwards that you cast the Hex spell, it will then hex the focus targets without having to point and click or tab target or target another raid frame or something like that. It just simply hexes the same target that you hexed previously, which is very, very useful, I find. Another one is the Winsheer macro that I use for the same purpose. If I need to interrupt a specific person, I'm just going to use this macro, Winsheer the target, it creates the focus target, and then Winsheers the same target afterwards. Same thing for Purge. If I have a focus target that exists, I'm going to purge that target. So those are the 3 actually @focus targets that I use. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is just a simple healing cooldown that I use. If I'm a Draenei, I'm going to use this one. This is the Gift of the Naaru macro. I just combine the Gift of the Naaru racial that Draenei's have with the actual ancient healing potion. So if I need to use a potion, a healing potion, I'm just going to click the Control 2 button, and then it's going to give me both of these healing cooldowns, and then I can just get a bigger boost out of one button. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. This was the add-ons, macros, and WeakAuras video for the Elemental Shaman for patch 7.2.5. Definitely hit that like button, it really helps me out, and leave a comment on the video if you would like to. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the Barako Shaman channel. I'm going to be releasing a lot more content soon, so if you're looking for some more Elemental Shaman content, good idea to do that. If you want to hit me up on my social medias, you can. And if you also want to watch me live on twitch.tv, which is the main broadcasting website that I use for my live streams, I'll be putting the link to those in the description down below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, keep calm and Maelstrom on.